Well, everybody. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is your starting 11 predicted show where we give you a prediction on what we think the West Ham starting 11 will be based upon all the news you've heard throughout the week, the press conference from Julian Lopetegui, and just a big old good guess. So if you are watching, make sure you put it in the comments and let me know your thoughts ahead of the official team news coming out over the coming hour or so. There's no point about beating about the bush. We may as well just get cracking and get started on today's predicted starting 11. Now, we did the show, Russ did the show last week where we kind of were talking a lot about the Aston Villa. I think he got a few right, but not all right. And it's always tough, especially when under a new regime, to guess and pick the team. It was always going to be that situation. West Ham have made many new signings, and I think we had thought maybe we would see a few more in the team last week. But this is an opportunity for West Ham to maybe bid in some of those new players who have made their Premier League debuts for the club. So let's get cracking into who I think will be number one in the between the sticks. And of course, I think this is the no-brainer. This is going to be Alphonse Areola. There's no real point in spending a lot of time on this conversation, but he's really cemented his position in the team, hasn't he? So, yeah, that's a very basic decision. I think the next one we can move on to is left back. I think you're going to obviously have Emerson Palmieri. I think we've got obviously Creswell as the backup option. I think Emerson is going to grow into this role in particular based upon who is going to potentially be alongside him. And this defense is going to look a little bit different to what we had against Aston Villa because we obviously need to shut up shop. That's the biggest key element. And the only way to do that is to play some of the players that we have brought in. So I'm going to go with a 4 at the back. Let's go over to the far side where I think this is going to be one of the first changes that Lopetegui will make because unfortunately for Soufal, who, happy birthday to you, has been a really good servant for West Ham. I think is not his time and his career at West Ham is over. I definitely think his time is up and starting this game. I think we brought in Aaron Wan-Bissaka because his defensive ability is through the roof, and again, arguably one of the best defensive defenders, fullbacks in the Premier League. And so I suppose a lot of the concern for people when he was playing at Manchester United was what he can do going forward. He's not the best at doing both of those roles. However, I think West Ham have got enough in going forward. I think Wan-Bissaka can do it as well, just not to the level that we need him to do it. I think he can just defend, and then that's the biggest issue. We need to shore up our defence and sort out our defence and just don't concede goals. And what a place to make a debut, starting debut against your old club. And I think it would be a perfect time for him to come in. And I really think that balances out both those sides. You've got Emerson darting forward, providing opportunities where necessary defensively. He does well. And I think it's really key as to what other partnership pairing are going to come into this side. So let me get into the first centre back. I think we all know Max Kilman will come into the team. He's been bought. We've spent a lot of money on him. And he, you know what, I do like him, and I think a lot of people have judged him on pre-season, but you don't captain a Premier League side for all those years and be in and out of the England setup if you are diabolically crap, and he's not. I really don't think he is. I was never a massive fan of him when he played at Wolves. I was skeptical at times, but I do think there is a player there. More, with all due respect to Mavropanos, I think there is an absolute baller here within reason. So I think he is obviously going to maintain his position in the centre-back pairing. Now, last week we saw Mavropanos start with Max Kilman, but I don't think we'll see that this weekend. I think we will see the inclusion and the full debut of Todibo. And I think this is an absolute no-brainer for me, to be honest, because he has had a preseason under his belt. He's fit. He's raring to go. He's looking fit in training. And I think this is potentially the start of our new look back five. And I think that's a positive output. And I think, we're going to have a bedding in period. Fingers crossed we can get something against Crystal Palace. However, this has to be our back five moving forward. And to think that the strength and depth we've got, if you include these 5 players here, you've got Fabianski backing up Areola, you've got Soufal backing up Wan-Bissaka, you've got Mavropanos and Agerd backing up Todibo and Kilman, and you've got Creswell backing up the left back as Emerson Palmieri. I mean, what a position for West Ham to be in is a very, very good position for us to be in. So what do you think so far from what I've mentioned? You can see them being our back five so far. Now, before we move into the midfield, yesterday we were talking a lot about the inclusion of Alvarez in the West Ham squad for the game. You know, we were led to believe there was going to be a late checkup on him, but we believe now that he is going to be in the squad for the game. Do you think it's too early for him to start? Well, I'm not saying it's too early for him, but I don't see Lopetegui putting him straight in from the off, because I think he brought Rodriguez in. I don't think Rodriguez was brought in to be the main starter for West Ham, but he has started the season. I thought he gave a reasonable account of himself. And I don't see the point in bringing him out yet. Not on the basis of the fact that Alvarez has just come back from injury. Now, there's two ways of looking at this. Some managers play a player coming back from injury from the start and then bring them off, or do the opposite and bring them on near the end. But I think what West Ham need to do is manage the players that we've got, and I think managing Rodriguez would be right to start him over Alvarez, especially if Alvarez is coming back. I think it would be better to see Alvarez come off the bench for 20 minutes and then gradually make that progression into him starting in the team. So what do you think from those comments? I mean, beside him, there is no other player right now that you'd want to name apart from Lucas Paquetá, because I think he really enjoyed that free role. I think he played quite well against Aston Villa. And I think he is going to flourish. And a lot of people are already kind of planning for life without him. But I think, you know what, even if West Ham are, you need to play him, because he can just come up with that little bit of magic. And as long as all those other players defensively do their duties, then you can afford for Paquetá to try things and maybe potentially give the ball away. As long as it's not in a deep lying role, then I think those other players that I've mentioned before Paquetá can help clear up the attack that's coming at us from Crystal Palace. So a lot of people would think, well, maybe we should shore up our midfield a little bit more. You've got James Ward-Prowse, you've got Tommy Souček, you've got all that sort of stuff. I think we all in agreement, and Tommy Souček shouldn't be starting this game, because I think what we noticed against Aston Villa is that the old guards let us down more than any of the new players, and the new players are going to need time to bed in. And I think the old guard really didn't help the situation there. So far, that's where I do, because I think we know Lucas Paquetá can put his foot in and get stuck in and can do his defensive duties as well. But I think he needs to be playing in that role. Now let's move on to the right wing, where we move into our kind of forward positions now, our forward players. And I think we all know Jarrod Bowen goes out on the right, no brainer, captain of the club. I'm never been a fan of a midfielder, especially a winger or a striker, being a captain. I think it's always got to be a kind of deep lying central midfielder or a centre back, to be honest with you. I would even question a fullback, but I think a fullback can do it. But anyway, I'm backing Jarrod Bowen, and I think he will be a good good character and a good captain. So we wish him all the best. So there's no point in trying to be beating about the bush and knowing that that's going to change. Let's move over to left hand side though, and I think this will be the full debut of Summerville. I think the performance he put in against Aston Villa, he showed some real dangerous positions, dangerous runs. He looked like he was up for it. He looked like he was at the races. There was a rumour kicking about saying that he wasn't going to be fit, wasn't going to be rearing for the game, ready to go. I think he will be. I think he's going to, hopefully. I'm quite excited about Summerville's season, to be honest. I think he's one that could potentially go under the radar because he comes from the came from the Championship, but a lot of people forget that he actually has played very well in the Premier League before Leeds did get relegated into the Championship. But he won every accolade that they could for them down there. And I think I'm quite excited about the option of what he can bring. Plus, add to the mix, put this guy in the middle of the park and give him a free rein. It's Kudus. I mean, he's unbelievable. I don't know what else to say about the guy. I absolutely love him. I've seen some stupid stuff online saying, can he rise to the occasion? I mean, come on. We just need to enjoy the moments with Kudus. He's my favourite player. He's Freddie's favourite player. He's a quality player, so it's going to be the excitement. And so far, without my last decision to make, you look at that team and you see creativity, you see dynamic approach to the game, you see tactical, decisions being made. Lopetegui offering that team Todibo and Kilman you know, on paper, very, very good defenders. Can they mark up a bit of a partnership, a friendship? They talk to each other. Tadebo does scream a lot, you know. Wan-Bissaka doing his defensive duties. And I think that really helped down that right-hand side to allow Jared Bowen to flourish and be the player he wants to be. And I think what you might find is when the ball goes down that side, we all know Kudus will go down that side as well. And that will be where the support mechanism comes in. So that's quite an exciting prospect. But for me, one of the biggest changes is going to be up front. I think as much as I do have a lot of respect for Antonio, I think it's time that Füllkrug gets given his full run out. And I think that will happen. I think Füllkrug needs a run of games to start. And if it's not working out after 70 minutes, by all means, bring on Antonio. Absolutely bring on Antonio with 20 minutes to go, because what an impact sub West Ham have got there. So that's an exciting prospect. I look at that team and I'm excited by that team. I look at that team and I think there's not a single player there that hasn't had minutes so far in the Premier League, albeit one game. Wan-Bissaka knows the Premier League. Kilman knows the Premier League. And Somerville knows the Premier League. So 3 starting debuts from those 3 players who do know, not Kilman, sorry, 2 of them, Wan-Bissaka and Somerville, who do know the Premier League as well. So, you know, they can step up to the plate there. They've played Selhurst Park. They know what the score is. And I think it's time for the ability to try and gel this team and make those changes. So it'll be interesting to see what Lopetegui does. Join us. We'll see it. The news will be out soon. But we'll bring that to you. But join us for the Match Day Live later on. Leave your comments, hit the thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Take it easy and come on, you irons.